So, guys, I just want to talk about Anthony Bowens, and I really think he's a very, very inspiring wrestler in All Elite Wrestling. And also, I really appreciate that, he has the courage to open up about being gay because there are still a lot of issues around racism and homophobia in everywhere you go. Like, it could be in professional wrestling, it could be in sports, it could be in other media and whatnot. So I think that, he's very brave for doing that, but he's also very brave for saying that, when you think of the acclaimed and you think of what they mean and inclusion, it's not just about the fact that Anthony Modes is gay. It's about everybody being included. It could be mental health, it could be depression, it could be race, it could be whatever. It's about everyone really just embracing, really just feeling embraced, feeling involved. And I would even say that I think that it's at the point where I want Anthony Bowens to be the first African American All Elite Wrestling champion. Like, there's a lot of people who talk about Powerhouse Hobbs, but you really don't see Powerhouse Hobbs really talking on the microphone. And then also, too, like, you have Maxwell Jacob Friedman as the right opponent for Anthony Bowens because they both can talk on the microphone. You can have a couple of matches where you can kind of do the Kofi Kingston's thing, where you can kind of have like Anthony Bowens go run the gauntlet, and then actually get to MJF. And MJF's job would really just to be to work his ass off to put Anthony Bowens over. And then you have Wardlow, MJF, and Anthony Bowens, Max Caster, Orange Cassidy, and you could even argue Hangman Adam Page as like this group of wrestlers that are not WWE established getting over in All Elite Wrestling, because the big thing you got to kind of do is build your next generation, and I would say that John Moxley would not be the right opponent for Anthony Bowens, just because, like, John Moxley's more into hardcore matches, so I think that you won't have the emotional storytelling element of it. But I do think that, eventually they have to put the title on MJF, and MJF really has to be that person that's like, okay, the person who has to beat me has to really be something. And it can't be a former WWE person or ECW person or WCW person, or else they're playing the TNA wrestling card. But I think that maybe the person to beat him should be Anthony Bowens. Because I think that would be really good just to say that, okay, you look at MJF, he's opened up about beating ADHD, he's opened up about being Jewish. He actually is a AEW original, so he's not, somebody who was super established in another company. So, he does represent a lot of things, and that's why a lot of people like MJF, because he is the person that usually most companies would not push as a champion, because they would be like, oh, well, you're a young guy, let's give it to old man Sting or whatever, because he's a veteran. We've seen Sting win so many times. But then when you see Anthony Bowens, it's the same exact thing. You have a person who is a person of color, who is open about being gay, who's saying, I accept you if you're gay, race, gender, mental illness, depression, whatever. So it kind of really, really further pushes that ideology that, the ideology of, we should support him because he respects and he wants to represent all of us. And then when he wins that thing, it kind of makes the title mean that it represents everybody, because, for a long time in professional wrestling, back in the 80s and 90s, it was really just about white men getting the title and them crapping on people with mental illness and genders and whatever. So it's kind of a good, full circle, but it's also what the message of AEW is about. AEW was born in the fact that WWE has become the status quo, and it's been so hard for them to kind of get away from the status quo because Vince McMahon create a lot of problems. And then also you have casual fans that don't walk away from WWE, and that causes the change that needs to happen. And then you have AEW that's like, okay, well, our people that need to be champion are people that mostly need to be homegrown people, so it can't be, so we can't do what we see in TNA wrestling or in WWE, which is rely on the old veterans. And Anthony Bowens, I feel like fits that, and also he has a really good physique. It's believable that he could beat John Moxley. It's believable that he could beat MGF. It's believable that he could beat CM Punk. It's believable that he can beat like Adam Cole. He can beat a lot of these guys because he has a similar type of semi-muscular physique. He's not Brock Lesnar. He's not Wardlow. Um, he's not the Big Show, but he's definitely in that. He definitely has the look of someone that could be champion and do very well. And like I've said, that really they can't push Powerhouse Hobbs because, he spent way too much time in Team Taz, and Team Taz really had no direction for a few years outside of putting Hook over and actually being something when they first started. But they definitely don't have anything going for them. It's just lost in translation. But I think that if you really look at the Acclaim and look how they got themselves over, really want to do something after their tag team title reign and really just have it go into another direction, you really need to treat them exactly like the WWE version of the New Day. That they're over, that they're a babyface tag team that's over with the audience, and both of them should be pushed to heavyweight champion. And even if you do Anthony Bowens versus Max Caster, it could be friend versus friend. But honestly, it should not be Max Caster because I think Anthony Bowens represents a lot more positive and more like acceptance. So I think that he has to kind of get it first, and then then Max Caster second. And as I said, that that would be the way to go. But I really think that, this may never ever happen. I don't think that AEW is smart enough to make this booking decision, but this would make a lot of money. This would make people feel very happy. And it's also like doing what we need to see in professional wrestling, which is if you started out in AEW, you should be AEW champion. It cannot just be former WWE people or New Japan Pro Wrestling people, because then that shows they don't really know how to develop. They're just doing the same thing that Vince does. Give the title to Goldberg, give the title to The Undertaker, give the title to John Cena, give the title to somebody or Roman Reigns, give it to somebody who's been established at least 10 plus years ago, because they don't know how to make new stars, because they just believe they just don't want to take the risk. Or you do the Dixie Carter thing of just overly relying on ECW, WCW, and WWE people. So I think Anthony Bowens, for a lot of reasons, really, really, really deserves to become the first African-American heavyweight champion in All Elite Wrestling. And then he would probably be the first openly gay heavyweight champion on national television, which would be a really big thing because, again, there's always stereotypes against gay men, especially gay wrestlers. Like most of them play you look at Sonny Kiss, like I said, you look at Sonny Kiss jiggling his butt. That's a stereotype of a gay man being a sexual predator or sexually deviant. Orlando Jordan does similar stuff, like spraying lotion on himself, being a sexual deviant. You kind of look at, even with how they do it in WWE, when you had Bobby Lashley's sisters and those men in drag, it's funny to be gay. Or even the even hardcore Unigown match, it's funny to be gay. And whatever. You've never really had a gay wrestler be taken very, very seriously who came out of the closet. And Anthony Bowens can really, really fit that. He needs to, it would help out a lot. And I also understand too, he's a very hard worker and he does a lot of great things. So it's not just about, well, he's gay and that's the only thing that needs to be said about him. No, it needs to be that he's a hard worker. He's almost like Titus O'Neil in a sense, where Titus O'Neil had a very, very fucked up childhood. The story was that his mother had him when he was when she was a teenager, a very young teenager. So the point of it is just kind of like how a person can be inspirational, represent a lot of great things and a lot of overcoming, but that's not the only thing that's about them is, their identity or what they've been through. It's, there's another layer to a human being. So he can kind of be that other layer to a human being and represent like other groups as well. So I really appreciate their level of inclusion. And I really think that, Anthony Bowens really, really deserves it. It's something that they should really work towards. And if they don't do that, it would be really, really fucking stupid because there's money to be made. This is something a lot of people want to see. And I don't think a lot of people talk about it because he's not in the heavyweight picture right now. But this could be something. They need to kind of even put him in like, those like matches, like, like those ladder matches where the winner gets a heavyweight title shot, or even like have him win one time, have people excited, and then don't give it to him, and just do the the Dusty Rhodes finish. Well, he could have had it. He did very well. Believe in him, but one day he's gonna get it, and then when that happens, it happens. So I think that my proposal of Anthony Bowens being pushed to be the first to be like their first African American heavyweight champion, first LGBTQ heavyweight champion. And then also just be a heavyweight champion based on his hard work, based on being inspirational, based on talking about inclusion and being included. And then also just saying that, part of All Elite Wrestling's identity is to be the company that embraces everybody. When you look at the decades of stereotyping of all different types of groups in WWE. So this would be the right thing to do. And there will be a lot of money in it. And Tony Khan would be an idiot for not doing this. So that's all I have to say.